Hey guys, it's Nathan from the Kentucky Cycling YouTube channel. Welcome to the next Zoom interview in the Kentucky Cycling Connection series. I'm excited to introduce my guest today, who is Eddie Bruner from Cave Country Trails, who is going to talk with us about the portion of the U.S. Bicycle Route 23 that goes through the Pennyroyal Plateau region of Kentucky, or as the name of his organization implies, Cave Country. Eddie, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Nathan.
Thank you for being on here. I always like to start an interview with a question or two aimed at getting to know our speaker a little bit before digging into the topic they've been invited to speak about. And I wanted to say that Eddie is actually not a new face on the Connection series. For those who may not be familiar with the Strava companion app called Wanderer, I invite you to check out the interview that I did with Wanderer's creator, Craig Durkin, where he provides a lot of information about this fun application that basically takes your Strava data and turns it into a game, with the emphasis being on accumulating unique miles. And as a follow-up to that interview, I did an interview with Eddie and several other cyclists who appear on Wanderer's Kentucky leaderboard. So Eddie is prolific at a lot of things, including pedaling a lot of miles throughout Kentucky. So Eddie, one question I didn't get to ask you at that time that I'd like to ask you today is how you got into cycling.
Like a lot of people as a young person, in the mid-'80s, it was a real counterculture sport. I was never kind of a team sports guy, and it just kind of drew me to it. You know, we all rode bikes when we were kids, but I just kind of progressed. There was a fella I knew that raced, so, you know, I started riding more seriously and got me a better bike and got a USCF license and started racing and raced through the 80s, and then it's just kind of stuck as a lifelong pursuit.
Cool.
Cycling is the one constant in my life, it seems like, forever. And I find that brings me a lot of joy.
Well, and I know that you do multiple disciplines, but that you view yourself primarily as a road cyclist more than others. What is it about road cycling in particular that appeals to you?
You know, I don't know if I can answer that really directly. It's what I started doing. When I started cycling, there weren't mountain bikes. You had either tours or road racers. So that was kind of the rub between the two disciplines at that time. And they were kind of hippies, and I wasn't. So the route I went. It's just what I do. I like rolling on pavement. I like gravel as much as the next guy, and dirt. But especially as you know, living in Kentucky, if you're going to ride much, you're going to ride pavement. You know, Louis Nunn paved this state, and that's what we have. And there's a lot of benefit to that. We have wonderful roads. I mean, there's very few places, and I'm not going to sit here and hate on the counties that have the poor roads, but there's very few counties that have poor roads. I mean, most of them have really good asphalt. You can ride high pressure 23C tires, and you're good. So you know, cover the most ground. I just have always gravitated towards that.
Before we turn our attention to Cave Country Trails and the development of the Kentucky portion of U.S. Bicycle Route 23, I also wanted to highlight the fact that you're a prolific photographer and Instagrammer with posts of just beautiful ride photos on your Instagram account, which is at Glasgow Coin. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into doing this?
I've always liked photography. It kind of went hand in hand with my cycling as a young person. I was kind of learning them both. And those were in the days of dark rooms and shooting a lot of black and white and a little bit of Kodachrome. And then honestly, with the development of how good cameras are on these smartphones, it has just kind of taken over. And it's kind of sad in a way. I've got full body cameras and Leica rangefinders that just collect dust because it's so easy to shoot with an iPhone. And so I just do a lot of that while I'm riding. There's an exhibit of my photos this month at the South Central Kentucky Cultural Center, which is Eddie's view from a bicycle.
Oh, cool. And
you've got a couple county papers. Joe Publishing publishes weekly my photos from those counties. It's not something I think I'm that good at. I can see a view that I think works, and I take photographs of it. But you're welcome. Anybody's welcome to look at my Instagram page. If you want a photo, take it. Kentucky Tourism uses them. Barron County, Hart County, Evanston County, they use my photos, and I'm happy for them too. It's just something I put out there. Anybody that wants them, if you want a photograph, you take them.
That's great. You know, I'm definitely a big fan of the Axum, the best camera is the one that is with you, and I think that that you've definitely hit the nail on the head. You know, in terms of You're really great in terms of capturing all these beautiful images, and I hope that encourages people to want to come, not just get out on a bicycle, but come check out some of the, your part of the state, because I mean, at least my impression of your part of the state, based upon your photos, is that there are just some beautiful roads to experience out there.
All our roads photographed well, and an interesting side note on photos. You until you get out on a bicycle, you don't really see the beauty of what's around us. And an example was me and one of my better cycling friends, Brian Beckham, rode from Corbin to Cumberland Gap and back last Sunday. A lot of it was on Route 21, but most of it was on 25E, just a major highway. And I told Brian before we left, I said, I doubt to take a picture today because this is the most unexciting, scenery we're going to see, because I've driven 25E my whole life,
Yeah.
going back and forth the mountains. And I could not believe the photographs I took, because from a bicycle, it's very different than a car.
Sure.
And I fully expected it to be like trying to take pictures driving down I-65. This is going to be, oh, look, a highway. Just from a bicycle, and you would think I would get that, but it just shocked me. The view of going, oh my Lord, 25E is great, looking around. But you don't see that from that cage you're driving in, with that little tunnel vision of your front windshield and paying attention to gauges and mirrors and everything else you do in a car when you're free on the bike. So I just found that it was such a treat to expect no photographs worth having. And I posted like 30 pictures from that 80-mile ride. So
yeah, that's great. That's great. And that's a great reminder to us all. You may have been through an area, 100 times or more, and your definitely perspective is going to change when you slow down and you're on the seat of a bicycle. So I love that you highlighted that.
Well, I'm sure we'll touch on this kind of theme later with discussion, but ride a route that you ride every week, ride it backwards sometimes, because we're creatures of habit. You roll out and you go, okay, I'm going to go out to wherever my route might be, what you may call it. I'm gonna ride up to Munfordville and back. Do it backwards, and you feel like you're lost sometimes. Where's that turn? Because you know what it looks like, but the views, it's not even the same thing. So that's my piece of advice for people that are getting a little stagnant in some of the routes. Just reverse them.
Say this project was kind of born from going out and doing the same routes all the time, and then just wanting something new and wanting to explore. And I've definitely had that experience, particularly like on a mountain bike trail. I mean, it can be a whole different experience to ride it in the opposite direction. And same with road as well. So excellent advice from our veteran cyclist here. All right. So before we dig into the details of the U.S. bike route, I want to learn a little more about the organization that's behind the development of this route, which is Cave Country Trails. Eddie, if it's okay with you, I'd like to share my screen and bring up the Cave Country Trails website, because I think it's going to be a useful tool in facilitating our discussion.
Yeah, great. Go ahead.
All righty. So we got the Cave Country Trails website up here, which is cavecountrytrails.com. Very intuitive. Now that we've got the website pulled up, can you just tell us a little bit about Cave Country Trails and the various ways that you've been involved with them over the years? I asked you what your role with them was, and you gave me a long list. So I thought it would just be easier to ask you to explain than introduce you with a particular title.
Well, Cave Country Trails is an organization that kind of spawned from a couple of tourism people in the Cave Country area, of thinking of how can they not only encourage people to visit some of the treasures we have in this portion of Kentucky, but also expand opportunities for outdoor recreation. And it started with some meetings that were set up in Cave City, and different people came, and then the interest looked like it was there. So we reached out to tourism entities and the city and county governments in our area, and were able to establish some stakeholders, and we are represented pretty well by all the counties that border Mammoth Cave National Park. Members of Cave Country Trails are Barron County, Hart County, Edmonson County, Warren County. You also have cities that are stakeholder paying members, and that would be, you've got Park City, Cave City, Horse Cave, Brownsville. The board is made up of representations from those stakeholders and if you will, kind of lay people, citizens. I'm a citizen member, and we have others, and we try to represent all the disciplines that we try to promote, which is hiking, cycling, paddling, horseback riding, and just any outdoor running, anything that would use what we call trails. And as you know, Nathan, you people say trails. A lot of times, everyone thinks of a path through the woods, but our roads are our trails too, especially when you're talking about cycling. I have been involved since the first days when Sharon Tabor, the tourism director in Cave City at the time, decided to hold these meetings, and became a board member early on. I was president for 3 years. I'm now the past president, executive committee member. And we've had a few different projects, one of which we're talking about today, US Route 23. But to not forget the others, one is paddling. We have a designated U.S. Blue Way from the Green River, on the Green River, from the dam in at Campbellsville to Butler County. There we've got mile markers the whole way. We've got maps with the put in and take out sites. We were to have a ribbon cutting on the 18th with Mammoth Cave National Park hosting it, but because of the way some COVID things are going in Kentucky, we have rescheduled that, and we've pushed it off to the spring. I'm not a paddler myself. I can't speak to the real particulars of it, but it was a huge effort by our organization to get done, to be a national Blue Way. We're the only one in Kentucky, and something we're very proud of. We try to hold events every year. Before this, the way COVID has slowed everything down, we always held our Cave Country Challenge, which was Cave Country Trails Weekend, which was in conjunction with Cave City Proud Days. And we had a run, we had a bike ride, we had a paddle. The paddle was free. We had some outfitters that would put that on, and it was great that people could come do it. Our bike ride would highlight different things. We did the Bike Your Park highlight, where we would go from Mammoth Cave up to Abraham Lincoln's birthplace and back, different ones through the region, through our stakeholders area, but showing some of the best of what we think we have to offer down here in Cave Country. Really neat organization, and it's funded by the tourism and the cities in the region that believe in what we do. Right now with COVID, we're having every quarter a Cave Country Challenge, where we ask people to get out on our trails, any trail, take a picture of the trail or yourself on the trail and submit it. And we have a drawing to give a gift basket of overnight stays and merchandise and things like that. So we try to do our best with the resources we have to promote our area.
Very good. And I assume that I don't know which came first, either the Trail Town initiative in your area or Cave Country Trails as an organization. But I assume that at least part of this, since you're highlighting it, is tied to the Kentucky Trail Town initiative. And it looks like you've got 4 of these in your area. So can you kind of talk a little bit about the process of becoming, what it means to be a trail town, and just a little bit about the towns that are part of your group?
The Trail Town initiative in our area came about the same time as Cave Country Trails, and the desire to become designated trail towns is kind of what it all kind of happened at the same time. But what we do at Cave Country Trails is we help shepherd these communities through the trail town process. Cave City was the first to become one, and we used that kind of as our blueprint on how to successfully do it. And then came Horse Cave and Park City, and you're scrolling through there. I don't know if Brownsville is Brownsville on there, because they are a trail town.
It is, yeah. Brownsville and Mumfordville.
I think it was the evolution was Cave City, Horse Cave, Mumfordville, Park City, then Brownsville. As far as what it takes to become a trail town, I'm not the person to ask, because even with my heavy involvement with Cave Country Trails, and that was my focus has been the cycling side. And that's what's kind of neat about our organization. We have a good diversity of folks that have strengths, and I can't speak to that process well at all, because I've never been involved in it. It's more of of the tourism people working with the state and to do it just didn't involve myself.
Okay.
You can probably speak to more of what it means. I mean, to be a trail town.
I think there's links on this page, so people are interested in that. I think there's certain criteria you have to meet in order to kind of be that, and there's a level of commitment there on the part of your community, to highlight these resources and to really kind of be having achieved a certain level. So when you go to a Kentucky trail town, you know that you're entering a community that is dedicated to the promotion of these resources, which is great. And to your point, I really like this site in that if you're a hiker, you can go in and find the hiking resources here. If you're a paddler or a horseback rider, you can find those resources here. And since this is a Kentucky Cycling YouTube channel, I'm going to go ahead and click on the cycling page here, and we'll dig into this. And I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that this is one of your photos. Is that right?
Yeah, that's mine.
I love the perspective of this shot, by the way, Eddie. And is this you as well? I figured. I mean, these are great photos.
That's one of the rare photographs of me on a mountain bike, to be quite honest with you.
But I assume your mountain bike probably gets less love than some of the others. Anyway.
It does. It's the lowest mileage by.
All right. Well, I want to circle back around to these routes because you've for road cyclists looking to ride, for rides in your area, you've put together a really excellent resource on Ride with GPS. So we'll come back around at the end of this. And in addition to talking about U.S. Bicycle Route 23, I want to hear about a couple of get you to highlight a couple of your favorite routes on here. But I also want to, kind of point out that in terms of mountain biking, that you've got a link to Southwest Kentucky or Southwest KyMBA there. And I did an interview with Chip Winger, so I'll include a link to it if you want to kind of learn more about the various trails in that region, which there are some really great resources for mountain bikers. Tell us a little bit about Trek at the Track.
Okay, now that is not my photograph, by the way.
I didn't think it was.
No, I don't. Trek at the Track is kind of a neat thing. It started in, I believe, 2015, that the NCM, the National Corvette Museum's Motorsports Track in Bowling Green, decided to, as a community outreach, and it's a wonderful thing, allow open track nights during the summer. You can pretty much follow, it's the spring till early fall, that on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock, they open the track to any non-powered kind of thing. And it started as bicycles, and you'll have everything from rollerblades to skateboards to that odd looking 2x4 with one giant wheel on it that people ride around. And people you see, this is Brian Beckham's family, in the, bringing their children with their different bikes. And it's a 3.5 mile, road track with maybe a 60-foot elevation change in there. And it's kind of neat. It's not an oval. It's a road course, as they would call in road racing, because it's lots of turns and switchbacks and bank stuff. And it's a really cool thing to come out to. It's free, which you can't beat that. I tell people its biggest benefit to me is for the new novice cyclist or someone who's not real sure of themselves on a bike that wants to ride a complete car-free environment, that's not riding in circles around a cul-de-sac. It is really neat. It's also really great if you have somebody that's wanting to try to look for a true outdoor FTP number that might be a cyclist or a road racer or a triathlete. It's somewhere you can put your head down and ride wide open. You're not going to be a red light, not going to be a stop sign. And there's not a curve that if you can handle a bike, you can pedal fast enough that you have to slow down.
Yeah, and I guess it's wide enough that, families can be out there or walkers or people going slower, and you can still, get around them, no problem if you want to.
But you can see that white line. That's wider than a 2-lane road with a turn lane. And then beyond that, you have the area before you run into the wall, if you will. But it is nice. And it's funny. I rode to Bowling Green last Tuesday. I'll do that occasionally when I have a friend from Glasgow driving a car. So I'll just leave and ride over there and pick up a 30-40 mile ride on the way and then ride around the track and come back with them. But I get to the track and it's the parking lot. You look at it and think, oh, this is going to be wall-to-wall people. But it's a big enough track. You're riding going, where are these people? Because the way they spread out.
Yeah.
And it's a really neat time. If you've never went down to do it, I would suggest going to their Facebook page. There's a Trek at Track page, and they'll post if there is any reason it's not going to happen or be delayed. There are occasionally conflicts with a private group that's doing a motorcycle or a vehicle event, but rarely does that happen. And worst case, it might be we're starting at 6 tonight instead of 5 because of a daytime event. It's well worth your time if you're near Bowling Green in the summer to go down and ride it. It's neat. It's an experience that you rarely get on a bicycle to ride that. You can get some really neat photographs if you want, because as you know, if you look on Strava and you're posting pictures of you coming around these turns with the rumble strips on the side, people wonder, where on earth are you?
And I looked at their site, and it looks like the National Corvette Museum is right there in the background. So I'll just say I visited that museum for the first time in my life this summer. Very worthwhile experience, to kind of get a sense of something that is really uniquely Kentucky, given that Corvettes are produced there, and then to be able to be a cyclist. Bring your bike along, go on a Tuesday, and then stick around. And I mean, you can see, the museum from someplace on the track, apparently. So it's really close there.
It's the other side of I-65 from the track. You've got some local vendors that set up to, plug gnats outdoors, and Howard Cycling. They bring demo bikes. They'll have sometimes some stuff for sale. They're offering some minor repairs if you need it. You'll have some local food trucks will come. And so it's kind of a neat thing. And usually over in the corner of their giant parking lot is a whole lot of the new model year Corvettes. So you can go over there and lean your bike up again and take a picture. I'm sure they probably love that, but you still, can get away with it. So it's a neat time. It really is. It's a unique thing. I have no idea if this goes on other parts of the country, but I don't think it's real prevalent, because every time I'll post photographs from here, I can easily get 20 or 30 comments from around the world. And, wow, that's so cool. So
yeah, cool.
It's a neat thing, and big kudos to them in Bowling Green for doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think another plug, they do that during the holiday season. They set up different, holiday themed lights and Christmas decorations in the track, similar like how E-Town does at their lake that you drive through. Well, they have a cycle night that they coordinate with the Bowling Green League of Bicyclists.
Nice.
So if you're a paying member of them, it's free, or it's a couple bucks if you're not. And you can come ride your bike. And it's the way they do the displays, you like the arch of lighting and themes across the road. So I've never personally done that, but everybody has raved how neat that is to go out there at night at Christmas time and ride through the lights. So
neat thing for your area. And then the last resource that's highlighted on this page is Bike Walk Bowling Green. Something that I didn't realize about Bowling Green is that there's a fair amount of greenways that have been built down there. Do you have any idea like how many miles of greenway that have been developed in Bowling Green?
This is going to be a guess just from riding them, not being do not live in Bowling Green, so I don't do a lot over there, but I'm thinking you've probably got 20 or 30 miles of dedicated greenways, and they're doing more. There's a new one that is going in. I rode through Bowling Green a month or two ago around the 31W bypass, and you can see where they were getting ready to pour the concrete when I rode through, so it may be in. But they've got them connecting down the Lovers Lane area over to Cemetery Road, and then up along Cemetery down towards the Med Center. And I may be incorrect, but I think it continues on to Western from there. But there are quite a few of them. And you also have the Low Hollow Mountain Bike Trail, which you can get to from the kind of greenway areas. So Bowling Green's got a lot going on. They do a good job over there with this stuff. And there's a number of organizations, and Bike Walk BG being one of them, Bowling Green League of Bicyclists, and Bowling Green Tourism. They kind of get it when it comes to this sort of infrastructure, and they're trying to do their part, and big kudos to them.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, again, we'll circle back to this page and get into some of these cycling routes. But I kind of want to transition now and start talking about the U.S. bicycle route system, and in particular, the development of the U.S. Bicycle Route 23. And so, for those who aren't familiar, I just wanted to kind of throw out there that we actually have a total of 3 U.S. bike routes that actually come through Kentucky. The oldest of these is U.S. Bike Route 76, or the Transamerica Trail. And the Transamerica Trail began as the route for what was dubbed the Bike Centennial, which was a mass bicycle tour across the country to celebrate the U.S. bicentennial in 1976. And this route was developed by the Adventurous Cycling Association and was the first ever bicycle touring route to cross the nation. U.S. Bike Route 76 crosses the state from west to east, or vice versa, depending on whether you want to go against prevailing headwinds or not. And Kentucky has the distinction of being only one of 10 states on this route. And then in the past 10 years, we've gained two more north to south routes, or vice versa, which is U.S. Bicycle Route 21 in the eastern part of the state, and of course, U.S. Bicycle Route 23, which we're focused on today. So Eddie, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about the development of U.S. Bicycle Route 23 in Kentucky, including the impetus for the route, as well as the path towards it becoming a U.S. bicycle route.
We decided when we first got kind of our feet under us at Cape Country Trails and started looking at a good project to take on, our executive director at the time, we have one paid position, it was Helen Sievers, and she looked around and came up with the idea that, you know, you have 23 in Tennessee that just stops at the Kentucky border. And wouldn't it be neat to give them a good way to get to 76? So we talked to Adventure Cycling. They were agreeable to that idea. I thought that was, you know, a doable thing. We didn't want to kind of do our work in vain if they were going to say, no, we don't see this as a viable route. So we began working on it. I was familiar with most of the roads in the area. So between myself riding different routes, looking at different stuff, and other people on our board, and Jeff Moore being one of them, and Helen herself driving stuff and getting information from the transportation cabinet about numbers, we kind of put this together. The biggest challenge was the national park, because Adventure Cycling told us you will never get permission to put a U.S. bike route through a national park. Nobody's done it. They want no part of it. Well, we felt, because we have a really good relationship with Mammoth Cave National Park, we have positions on our board that they have that they feel as non-voting positions, advisor positions, and they're the national park directors who sits on our board. And we thought we have a good chance of doing this. So as we put it together, we routed it the way we wanted through the park, and then we began the process of working with the National Park Service at a national level, which was very different than your local folks. But they put traffic counters and came up with the reasons they didn't want it, and then we kind of continued to talk about it and utilizing. You touched on Strava earlier. We found Strava heat maps to be very good as an argument with them of going, guys, everybody's already riding through here. Yeah. And so we counted bus traffic and vehicle traffic, and they approved it after many phone meetings, conference calls, and sit downs. The Park Service signed off on it, and we applied it to Adventure Cycling, and it was approved, and we were thrilled. We're in the process of doing signage for it now. US 21 was very fast with that. They were that organization that put that together was good about getting signs up. We are just now beginning to get signs up, and Hart County's getting the first of them. And that is a little bit of another process that you learn as you go with these things, of moving on to working with the county and the state and the transportation cabinet, and where the signs can go and how they're made. But we've got some good partners, and we're fortunate to have Hart County being one of them, and Warren also, that have the ability to produce signs. And some of these counties, we had county judges step up when we went to get letters of support and talk to them and said, if you do this, we'll pay for the signs. And we've had a wonderful amount of support from the counties we go through of supporting this project. So it's been a very exciting process. It was a long process. It took about 3 years.
Wow.
It's done, and signs are going up, and people can ride it now, as you can see here from where you've got it, that Adventure Cycling's promoting it. We're promoting it. It's easy enough to find links to the route that you can download and put in your Garmin and follow it along.
Yeah. So one thing that I thought was really cool is that Adventure Cycling is now, a lot of times Adventure Cycling, there are a lot of routes that Adventure Cycling has. If you're a road cyclist and you're not familiar with Adventure Cycling and you're interested in touring at all, definitely check out their site. You can order maps that have a bunch of turn by turn and list a bunch of features in various areas. And I think that's kind of what they're known for, is sort of these these maps. But with regards to the U.S. bike routes, know that so here's the purple line indicates U.S. Bicycle Route 76. That he was making reference to U.S. Bicycle Route 21 in the east. And now, we saw on that previous map, it was basically coming from the southern Tennessee line, going all the way up the Kentucky line. And now it's extending upwards and making that connection to US Bicycle Route 76, which is great. So we're going to dig in to talking about this route.
And show folks where 21 is. It's off screen.
Yeah. I think it goes up to Maysville. Is that right?
Oh, it does. And that is a really, really cool route. I've not ridden the whole thing or been portions of it. But I would encourage anybody that's looking at ours to look at that as well.
I hope to interview Dr. Peter Hackbert, who's part of the Entrepreneurship for the Public Good program at Berea College. He gets a group of Berea College students every summer, kind of working on trying to promote tourism and resources in the Appalachian region. And so I know that he was really involved along with his students in terms of doing this. And then he partners with a community organization called Friends of the Boone Trace. And a lot of this route actually follows along the historic, I think this is also referred to sometimes as the Daniel Boone Trail, and basically, comes down here. Again, it's a situation where if I looked at the national route, it actually came through Tennessee, and now Kentucky's making a connection. And I believe the desire is to go on up to either Columbus or Cleveland, somewhere in Ohio, to continue on up with this U.S. Bicycle Route 21 route. So another great route. I hope to ride all of these. I'm recovering from shoulder surgery, so it won't be this year, but over the next few years, hope to have all these as goals and experiences firsthand. But I think it would be great to kind of follow along in the footsteps of, basically what was a gateway we think about St. Louis as kind of being the gateway to the West, but the early Western frontier was really Kentucky coming up through Cumberland Gap. And so you can follow along the way a lot of those settlers did as they made their way from Virginia, North Carolina, those areas, migrating west into westward expansion. So really, really cool. And then, of course, we've got this bicycle route. So this, you've got it linked on your site, but when we just click on this link here, we can actually dig into the details of the route. So it looks like it's about 9 miles long with 4,586 feet of climbing. I guess if you did it from south to north anyway. So Eddie, I'm happy to, I really just want you, I know you know this route, you were heavily involved in this route, you've ridden this route. So I'd love for you to kind of just give us, almost a pitch, if you will, about this, walk us through, we can dig in here to the map here and give a cyclist a sense of what they'd actually experience if they were to ride this route, including, I noticed, I'm sure not coincidentally, that you come either close to or go through some of these trail towns that are part of your all's area.
Yeah, I'm happy to, Nathan. First of all, the 108.9 miles is accurate, but 4,500 feet is not. It's more like 60. It's more like 6,300 feet of climbing. If you're looking at actual, that's as you know, these mapping programs are not always extremely accurate in their elevation.
Sure.
I don't want to be confused. It is quite a bit of climbing on this route. You're going to start at Tennessee, unless you're coming off of 23 off of Witt Road, just south of the Kentucky border. I don't know if there's a lot of value in, actually starting at the Tennessee state line, but you may if you're coming from that direction. But you're going to hit Franklin pretty quick in about 6 miles. Franklin's a lovely little community. They've done so much down there to keep their downtown vibrant, historic buildings, reutilizing things. There's theaters and coffee shops and interesting little places to get food as you come through Franklin, and the route goes right down through downtown. So that's a neat stop or a neat starting point or ending point, depending on how you do this route. You're going to leave Franklin and you're going to head towards Gold City. Through this area is relatively easy cycling. This part of Simpson County and coming up into Warren County, it's you're going to have a lot of soybean, a lot of corn, not a lot of climbing at that point. Gold City is an interesting area. You're going to come through there from Gold City and head up towards Boyce, which Boyce is well known to Warren County cyclists because you have the Boyce store, and that's at about 25 miles or so into this. The Boyce store is an old country store, as we have lots of in this part of the state. That's going to sell like dry goods, minor little things, and sandwiches. Everybody likes their fried bologna sandwiches at Boyce. You can stop there and get an RC and a ski and have a bologna sandwich or some other sort of sandwich if you don't want that, or and other sorts of treats and goodies if you want. That's a good place to stop at the 25-mile mark. You're going to head from there from Boyce, and you're going to work up towards Oakland as you go through Franklin or through Warren County. Now you're going to start to have a little more climbing, more rolling stuff created by where the Barron River comes through there. Oakland is a neat community. There's not a lot there, but it's very attractive. You have an old post office that makes for nice.
Where's Oakland? Do you know about what mile?
Oakland's going to be about the 45-mile mark.
Okay.
I'm going to scroll on up. You're coming through Warren County through there across Cemetery Road. Now you got to
cross the Barron River.
Yeah, and that's where you're going to start to have a little bit more climbing, hitting some more grades. It's now more up and down than just rolling. You're going to come through Gotts and Hydro and work your way there across or under 65.
Okay, so here's Oakland.
Yeah. Oakland is a neat little community. You'll come through there. They've got old schools and attractive churches, and as I said, a neat post office. There's nowhere to purchase anything, but it's a neat little community. And then now you've flattened out a little bit. The road's pretty low, no real grade as you head towards Smiths Grove. Now Smiths Grove in Warren County, they have a lot to offer. You have cafes, places to get coffee, places to get ice cream, in addition to your typical more of like convenience store, gas station stuff. But right downtown's really neat. Antique shopping, florists, just neat stuff that you can see there in Smiths Grove.
It looks like the route takes you right through the middle of downtown.
Right through downtown, right across the railroad tracks. You see what they have to offer. And if you needed more of kind of where you see their travel center, if you want more gas station stuff, you can quickly get off the route a little bit, and there's going to be truck stops and those sort of things. But we did our best with our route to stay on secondary roads and see the best of like local Kentucky. I don't think anybody's lacking for seeing a large truck stop, but that stuff exists if you want to jump off the route and get to it. In some places you'll go right by it, but we wanted to highlight these cities and towns we're going through to see if you're going to ride this and you're not from our area, see what we see every day.
Right.
So you'll come through there and cross the tracks and get to see the little stores. You're going to come out of Smiths Grove and you're now into more rolling hills. You're starting to enter the kind of basin before Mammoth Cave, the sinkhole region or karst region. You're going to hit Rocky Hill, which is Edmonson County Rocky Hill, not to be confused with Barron County Rocky Hill. That's a solid 6 miles away. It's interesting. We have these two Rocky Hills, but Rocky Hill's a neat little community. It was a stop on the L&N. There's the old train station is still there. It's not used.
Cool.
I photograph it often. It's attractive, but neat little community. It's got a bed and breakfast or two. No retail. What was retail is there in downtown, and it's still maintained well, and it's attractive, but there are no stores open. You're going to go north out of Rocky Hill.
Let me stop you there for just a second. So you mentioned a bed and breakfast or two. So if somebody, wanted to do this, as an overnight, or if they're passing through, I get, either if they're passing through, or if they just want to come and maybe bite off 50 miles or so on the, do more of a leisure. I know you would go ahead and knock out the 109 in a day, Eddie. I feel confident that you do this in one ride, but so if somebody wanted to take it slower, they could potentially overnight in Rocky Hill.
Yes, the places, and I apologize for not thinking to highlight that, but you can overnight in Smiths Grove, whether it be a more of a traditional, roadside motel, the interstate, or there are bed and breakfasts and Airbnbs in Smiths Grove.
Okay.
Same thing with Rocky Hill. I believe there's 2 bed and breakfasts in Rocky Hill, and they aren't Airbnb types. They're, actual little storefront bed and breakfast, if that's the term to use for it. Now, as you leave Rocky Hill and you head north and you're headed towards Edmonson County, you're going to come through Pig, and you can't miss Pig. I mean, Pig is a
Pig?
neat little stop. Yeah,
What?
Pig.
What? Where is that? What?
You're keep going across 31W. Right there's Pig.
Oh, Pig. I had no idea there was a Pig, Kentucky.
Pig, Kentucky has the Porky Pig Diner, and
Oh,
the Porky
wow.
Pig Diner is, believe it or not, very cycling friendly for a variety of reasons. One, they're good people. The other is a lot of the Bowling Green League of Bicyclists rides. They go through Pig. They have the Pig ride on the 4th of July. So they always will stop there. You can get barbecue sandwiches. You can get your traditional country store food.
Nice.
Uh, Fry everything you can fry. They're very friendly about filling a water bottle, giving you ice, using the restrooms. I try to purchase something from them. If I'm going to go in there and do that, buy a Diet Coke, or they have pastries or just your typical different candy bars and things like that as well. But it's a diner. I think it's 6 days a week. I don't believe they're open on Sundays, but they definitely are open on at least Wednesday through Saturday. But Pig is a must see when you come through. It's a cute little
Cool.
place. But you don't be looking at your phone, or you'll ride right through Pig, because it's not a very large.
Yeah.
Well, now you're in Edmonson County, and you're gonna head towards Mammoth Cave.
Okay.
Being
And that's, I guess, what all this green we're seeing on the map is the national
Oh,
park boundary.
at the metric point there at 62, you're gonna
Right.
make that right, and now you're gonna drop down right
Yeah.
at the edge of the Green River. So you've got a nice little drop, and then you come back up, and
Oh, this,
you're
okay. So
yeah.
60, yeah. So we're somewhere in here. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a nice little descent.
At that point, you're not going to see the Green River, even though you're going right down into the base.
Yeah,
Now.
but you're dropping down to river level and
Yeah,
then climbing back out.
that's
Gotcha.
going to be a good little climb on you if you're not much of a climber. But it is what it is. Just
Yeah.
find a low gear and spin away.
Yeah.
You're coming into the park. You're going to start passing historic churches right there at 65. Is now not that it's part of the route, but and then I wasn't talking about dogs. If that was
Sorry, that's my dog. I apologize.
Let's talk about that though, because people talk about dogs in Kentucky.
Sure.
This is a pretty friendly route for that, because a lot of that farmland you're coming through in these areas, there's not a lot of homes right on the road. So not that you can't have a dog that's loose, but it's not a route that you have to think, oh my gosh, I have lots and lots of
Okay.
dogs. But a quick note on right there at 65-mile marker you've got on the screen. That road you see going across, it's called Joppa Ridge. It's also called the Motor Nature Trail in Mammoth Cave. If you're coming through here and you're not trying to tear it up and you're not riding the skinniest tires ever made, you may want to think about taking that little road down to the Green River.
Oh,
It's
that's okay.
gravel. It's rideable on a road bike. It's
Oh,
definitely
nice.
rideable on a 28C, a 30C tire. It's
Okay.
not some sort of technical single tracky thing. There's steeper parts of it that I would ride that on a road bike if I wanted to. It wouldn't be a big deal. But that Motor Nature Trail, or Joppa Ridge, as it's known by locals, is a neat ride to take you down to the Green River.
Cool. So you
Uh,
could basically come down here and then even dip in and and I guess if you wanted to camp, here's obviously a campground along the way.
That would be the next thing to discuss, as you were talking about overnight people. This might be a good point here. If you notice, you're right at about 70 miles where you're turning into the park. You have
Yep.
the lodge, so you have every form of staying that you really want to get. You can stay at Mammoth Cave Lodge and stay in comfort. You've got restaurants, you've got fine dining, you've got snack bars, you have ice cream, you have the camp store. You could tent if you're a bike packer. You've got the primitive camping there. I guess you wouldn't be pulling a fifth wheel if you're on a bicycle, but you have that kind of camping. If you're that kind of a person and you wanted to come down here and bring your camper and your bikes, this is a pretty good midway point to ride both directions on the
Yeah.
route.
Gravel, what Kimba calls the gravel grinder or the railroad, Mammoth Cave Railroad Trail. Does it parallel this?
Your portion of this route, you're looking right there between 67 and 69. The rail
Uh-huh.
trail along the side of that,
Right.
and then it goes right on down to where it says Mammoth Cave Campground. Go back north.
Yeah.
It goes right down there, and it terminates at the camp store and the lodge. And
Gotcha.
the other
Yeah.
direction, it terminates in Park City, which is one of our trail towns.
Okay.
And There are numerous bed and breakfasts in Park City that you can stay at as well. If you wanted to scroll south on it real quick,
Oh, is this it?
that's the rail trail.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so
Yeah,
so
you
so
could
this
jump,
this
yeah, you could jump off at 23 either onto the rail trail or just following it there on 70 right to Park City if you wanted
yeah,
to,
yeah, yeah.
which is one of our trail towns in Park
Okay,
City.
but it's not like right on the route. So if you want to kind of continue on the route, you
You
can.
can see it. I mean, have you
Sure.
ever ridden, Nathan, have you ridden the
Yes.
rail
Yeah.
trail?
Actually, I just wrote it. It was the last ride I did before I had shoulder surgery, so I'll include a link to that. Definitely, rail trail. A lot of people think of as being sort of flat with gradual grades, and there definitely are portions of this trail which do that. But I would emphasize, as you see here, particularly as you get up around Mammoth Cave, I would submit that cave country is hilly. Not crazy, but hilly. It's not where you're not in the flatlands, and so and that trail is definitely got some parts that have steeper climbs. I think for beginner cyclists, the national parks even says you should get off and walk. I don't, I think if you've got at least an intermediate skill set or a base fitness level, you're not going to need to do that. But yeah, it's very scenic. Beautiful trail, and kudos to Southwest KyMBA for their role in helping to make that trail a reality.
Yes. Now, yes, that was actually a project from a couple other organizations. The Rail Trail itself,
Okay.
KyMBA's, Big Hollow was their project. The Rail Trail predates them for quite a bit. The Rail Trail has been in place
Okay.
for a while, yeah, and it was one of the first off-road trails in our region. Now, to talk just a quick thing about Mammoth Cave, as people that want to come through here, one of the neat things, and I don't know if you noticed this when you were on the rail trail, but right there about, I would guess that's like the 67-mile area.
Yeah.
There's a neat, as you notice, they have little information placards along the way.
Mhm.
The coolest one is almost exactly where you've got the little orange dot there. Is it shows? I think they title that placard "The Forest Comes Back," and there's an aerial photo in the 20s, and there's an aerial photo in 2010 that's on that, and all of this green you're looking at was completely cleared as farmland before
Wow.
the National Park Service came in and
Wow,
took
that's
it.
hard to believe if you're right out there
And
today.
to look at that photo, I love looking at it because it's amazing to me of how you're in this giant forest out here at Mammoth Cave,
Yeah.
and how that was it was cleared. It's just amazing how just by leaving it alone, what the amount of cedar and hardwoods as well as some of the evergreens that are grown there have just come back. But anyway, back to our route discussion.
Previously scheduled program.
Yeah, as you make that right there before the 70-mile marker and you head out, one of the last things you're going to come by is Sand Cave, and that's
Okay.
where Floyd Collins was trapped. So that's well right there about 72
Okay.
mile marker. So yeah, that's almost exactly it. If you look at the Kentucky tourism picture of three cyclists in front of a Mammoth Cave National Park sign, that I'm one of them, and it's taken right there at 72.
Okay.
But that's Sand Cave, and that's where Floyd Collins was trapped, and we're not going to go through all that. You can look that up if you want to know the Floyd Collins story, but it was what made Mammoth Cave as famous as it is. But you can stop there and go down a very short walkway and go to Sand Cave where he was trapped and read the story. There's placards and information, and that's a neat stop. Plus, if you wanted to stop and do some enjoy our blue ways, there's Canoe Outfitters. The second you exit the cave right there, that would be thrilled to store your bike for you and take you up and down river. And there's a couple of them that'll take you across the river with your bike if you wanted to cross at some of the old ferry crossings.
Yeah, neat. Cool.
So now you're going to drop on down and you're going to come through into Cave City. You're in Barron County now, and you're going to have all kinds of roadside attractions. And it's
Yeah.
really a neat glimpse of what Americana was before we had the interstate system. If you've been through there, everything from, I mean, when you see Dinosaur World highlighted,
Yeah.
Jellystone, Guntown Mountain, bumper boats, rock stores.
Yeah.
Just,
Another camping opportunity for sure.
yeah,
And cabins and things here
yes, and you've got hotels if you want them, bed and breakfast if you
in
want them.
Cave City.
Down to Cave City. You're going to go to the wigwams right there at 79. You can spend the night in a wigwam, which is the
Wow.
very last of the concrete teepees that you can stay in that are fully restored and maintained and operational. Cave City has coffee houses. There's pizza places, barbecue places, local attractions, all sorts of nightlife. Come out of Cave City, head on down to Old Dixie Highway into Horse Cave. Horse Cave has got again bed and breakfast. They have diners. They have cafes, coffee places, pizza, local stuff. Head on out of there and head on towards where we're going to turn on the L&N Turnpike and head on up into Hart County. You've got Kentucky Down Under Adventure Zoo. You can go there and see the kangaroos and all the neat stuff they have. You have Farmwald's Bakery, Amish bakeries with Amish food, baked goods, all kinds of stuff to eat, everything you want. You can see a KOA there.
Yep.
So you have camping again. You have hotels. You're going to follow the old L&N Turnpike around. You're going to go through Rowlett and head on up towards Mumfordville. Mumfordville has Perryville, or not Perryville, excuse me, the battlefield at Mumfordville. That is very neat. If you want to go see the Civil War battlefield, they have museums, they have coffee houses, they have restaurants, places to stay again. They have a beautiful area right down there by the river where you see the little green dot after you've crossed the Green River. That's worth taking the little side tour just to go ride the little trail along the Green River that they have, and a great park system. And see exactly how high that bridge is across the Green River. It's a really neat area to go do.
Have you been to the Arboretum there?
Yeah, yes. Mumfordville has a lot to offer. I'm going to head out of Mumfordville on 357, which is one of the most attractive roads in central Kentucky. Very quiet road going past Amish nurseries, Amish farms, following these different knobs. If you want to get your climbing legs, you can head up every one of these knobs, from Frenchman's Knob to Vernon Knob to Schoolhouse Knob. You're coming through there. Now, up through here, these are a lot of pretty little communities with churches, but you have no facilities. There's nothing to purchase anything. So the last about 20 miles of this route from Mumfordville North, you're going to be completely self-support. And as you come up to Tanner Road at Airline, you're going to see all the US 76 signs, which if you're an older cyclist, you always get excited because we all remember when 76 was the route, and it still is for the Trans Am. And all of it, we like to go up there and watch the racers come through, and that's a neat place to see them, and pick up 76 and head east towards Buffalo and all the LaRue County attractions they have. And you can make a short 5-mile detour up to see Abraham Lincoln's birthplace at Abraham Lincoln National Historic Site.
Okay.
So we think it's a neat route. It's got a lot to offer.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a challenging route as far as climbing, but you don't have to try to burn it up. You don't have to, try to set any record going up these climbs, and none of them are long. I mean, it's just a whole bunch of 100, 250 type climbs. This is, we don't have. It's funny, you were talking about the climbing at the trail and the climbing you see here. Our topography is different. We don't have mountains. We have cracks in the earth that you ride.
Right.
Because it's almost, we're almost a plain that is just grooved to death by millions of years of creeks, rivers, and different tributaries that have cut these grooves. So if you look across it, you can kind of look across from Cave City to Glasgow and say, oh, that's pretty flat. Well, you're missing the grooves in the earth.
Yeah.
It's not mountain. Yeah.
And for a little bit of surprise, but yes, right. Yeah. But definitely hilly, it's just, lots of ups and downs. So that's cool. Very good. Well, that's I think that's hopefully folks get a sense that there's quite a bit to, what relatively is a short stretch of road, but an important connection to bring folks, coming all the way up, I believe 23 goes either close to or through, Nashville. And so, if you, basically you could come all the way up here, and then, it becomes this connection to this, certainly what is a very well-known route. One of my favorite cycling documentary movies is Inspired to Ride, which I'm sure, have you seen that one, Eddie? Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, just to watch these guys doing it self-supported, doing a self-supported tour, across the U.S. and coming right through Kentucky is really really cool. All right, well, I don't want to before I get away. I know a lot of folks, may come down to your area, and maybe they don't want to do a through ride like this. Maybe and of course you could do this. Potentially as an out and back. You could do this, as a tourist coming through the area, or you could just, make arrangements and do it from one end to the other. But people may want to come to your area and experience what I think a lot of road riders are looking for in terms of day routes, or something that makes a loop. They can park their car and then go and make a loop. And I would assume that you're, if not the only contributor, the chief contributor to this routes library. And given that again, check out that interview with Eddie and the other Kentucky Wanderers, and you'll get a sense of just how well Eddie knows these roads in this area. So my challenge to you, because you've got, quite a, do you know how many routes are out here to choose from?
That are linked on this one. I don't. We can count them. I mean, it's 20 or 30.
Yeah. So quite a few routes to choose from. So my challenge to you, Eddie, is could you highlight a couple, one or two of your favorite routes that are on this page?
Leave it where it is right there, and I'll hit a couple of them.
Okay.
We get asked often messages to Cave Country Trails or to Bicycles of the Barrens, another local kind of loosely group cycling group, that we'll get messages on our Facebook page that, oh, I'm coming to one of two things. We're going to be at Barren River State Park for vacation, or for a reunion or a conference, or we're coming to Mammoth Cave for a vacation. Where can we ride? And so I'll refer them to here in some of the ones. And depending on the kind of cyclist, we picked these routes based upon low traffic and the quality of the roads and what you're going to see. So the kind of things I would say that are just kind of a must see. A good one down here is Metcalf and Barren Rolling Hills. This is riding from Glasgow down into the edge of Metcalf County and coming back around. And this is just, it is, as you can look from the profile down there, it's just up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. But it is absolutely beautiful roads. And this is a route that you could ride on a weekend morning. And if you left Glasgow at 8, you can probably do 10, 20 miles without seeing a single car either direction.
So where does the route start and end?
This is starting in just kind of downtown Glasgow.
Okay.
And you don't have to go right to where that is, but just starting in downtown Glasgow, it's heading out of town, trying to get you out of town as quick as you can. Not that we're a giant metropolis, but by the point that you're at that, I can't use my pointer. By the point you're at like that 5 mile mark, there's no town, left.
Right. So you cross the river, basically, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the Parkway. But you're going to cross the Parkway, and now you're just out on secondary roads.
Yeah, gotcha.
Like the Keno area. It's just, you might pass some Amish, you might pass a hay wagon or a tobacco wagon, depending on the time of year it is. But it's just some of the best of what we have. It's going to be great asphalt, beautiful rolling stuff. You're going to come down through summer shade, and then snake your way back up around by Nobob and communities that the names seem bizarre to some people. To us, it's just where you are. Yeah. And like Bluff Dog Road there, you can't beat riding in areas with things named that. Yeah. And some of the best of what we ride, it's stuff I ride weekly on different routes, putting them together, and just bring you on back to Glasgow.
So this is about a little under 50 miles. Is there any like water resources out here, or do you just need to make sure that you pack, plenty?
On this particular route there, if you look at about 21 miles where we're right there, you'll have water in that area. There'll be places to buy things. Okay. Two good things to tell people that aren't used to riding in rural Kentucky that you can usually get water very easily. Stop at cemeteries. They typically have a spigot for people to water their flowers. And churches typically, anytime you see a church and there's a pavilion out back, chances are there's going to be a standpipe there because they're having
Okay.
gatherings and they need water. So those are places you can usually safely roll up and fill your water bottle. Don't be afraid to ask a farmer if he's got water. We've all done that, and they're all, you're not going to get yelled at. They're going to tell you where a pipe is and you can get some water. So yes, this one particularly does have you can have stores there at that summer shade area. You're going to
Good deal. Good deal. So that's out of Glasgow, and I know you're partial to Glasgow since that's where your home is. What about another one that may not be a Glasgow originated route? Where else would be?
Okay, let's go to this Hardyville loop. Easy loop from Hardyville.
Where's it? Oh, easy loop from Hardyville. Very good.
On that.
Okay.
All right, well, now you're in Hart County. Hardyville's a neat little community. It's got some stores and some things, and it's attractive. That is a really easy ride if somebody is not want to do a bunch of miles, not want to do a whole lot of climbing, but and I have to temper when I say a whole lot of climbing because of where I live. I'm used to.
Sure, you're not getting.
You still have 800 feet, I guess.
Right.
That's 17.5 miles, but it's pretty easy climbing. But you can leave Hardyville and you head out Hardyville Road. These are super quiet. You're not going to have any traffic. To speak of, again, Amish buggy, hay wagon, tobacco wagon, maybe a tractor or a combine, but nobody that's going to mind you being on the road. And you're going to head towards Monroe, and there's nothing in Monroe, but that's Monroe. And you just do a neat little route up there on Rube Smith. You're going to go by some neat old churches, some old historic schools. Right where you got your pointer right there is an old colored school. And that's kind of an interesting thing. If you've not ever seen that, we have those old schools are preserved in most of the counties. So it's just a memory as to how things were at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to come back along there and come down Fairview Road and then kind of backtrack a little bit and give you a neat little quick taste of Hart County.
Cool.
That's completely within Hart County. Hart County is a great place to ride. Great roads, nice people, quiet, just farming community.
Okay. Well, and I know I said one or two, but I think we probably have time for one more.
Let's see. What else do we have that's not in Glasgow? I think most are originating there because that's kind of where I live, and I put them together. Why don't you go?
Well, maybe I just threw you too much of a curveball there.
No, that's fine. Go to the Glasgow to Node metric century. That's a nice route. It's going to come out of Glasgow downtown again, but it's going to head a little different way. It's going to head up into Hart County. It's going to go through Highsville, which is there just before the 15-mile mark. The Highsville community, you would have grocery stores and Phillips Grocery, places you can get things. It's going to head up towards Center, which Center is about the 20-mile mark. Center, Kentucky is in Metcalfe County. There are stores. There is a store. There are places to get water.
Okay.
Also, if you wanted to do this and not come to Glasgow, you can park there and ride this route kind of starting in the mid. None of these routes, think about this too, you don't have to start them at the beginning, especially if you're using this as a GPX file. You can put yourself anywhere in the route and start your ride,
right?
And work it there. But it just heads on up through the same general area as that Monroe, go through Node, come back up through Sulphur Wells, which is a neat community, and you've always got the Lighthouse, which is all you can eat country ham, fried chicken, and catfish.
Where's that?
Hard to beat. I noticed Nathan jumped on that.
Yeah, well, I'm all about it.
Move back up. Move the map back up a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Just kind of move the whole map. We need to get back down here to the bottom portion of it. You're going to be Sulphur Wells about the 35, 36-mile mark.
Okay.
Okay, so that's in Metcalfe County, and you have Sulphur Well Park. There were sanatoriums there during the day because of the natural sulfur springs. People thought that had a lot of medicinal value. You're welcome to go over there and drink sulfur water bubbling up out of the spring. And contrary to all rumors, you can get a glass of water when eating at the restaurant, and it does not have sulfur in it. There are people that will tell you that you need to drink a ski. And if you want to get a ski because you're in Metcalfe County and you're close to Greene County, go ahead, but you don't have to do that because you're not drinking sulfur water. And then it heads out of there and works its way back into Barron County. And again, just beautiful roads, beautiful views. If you see my photographs, lots of them are from this route.
And I guess these roads go over top of the Cumberland Parkway?
Over or under. There's tunnels. Like they're at 55.
Gotcha.
55 goes over, there at 45 goes under.
Okay.
But you don't have to deal with Parkway. You're just on real quiet secondary roads.
Sure.
And this route's got a fair amount of climbing in it for being just short of a metric, but it's a nice route. You see a lot of great things. Hey, and when you're in Glasgow, to plug us, we have nice coffee houses, local restaurants, breweries. The square has bed and breakfasts and bistros. We have a lot going on. So if you get a chance, come downtown and check us out.
Eddie, just by way of wrap up, is there anything else that I haven't asked you about that you'd like to share with the Kentucky cycling audience?
Probably the biggest takeaway I like to give, and I know a lot of this audience is Kentucky based, so they understand it, but we tend to sometimes have the reputation of wild dogs and crazy roads in Kentucky. And I just think that's unfair, and it's not true. Anybody that wants to go look at Wanderer, I think I have the credibility with the varied miles in this state to say that for the most part, we have wonderful roads to ride. The dogs I think it's more of a psychological thing to people that have never dealt with them. Now, I don't want to discount that people have been hurt by a dog knocking them down, but that can happen anywhere. They're not as wild and rabid as people like to say that visit our state. And I think we have the best roads in the country. And I ride a lot of places. There's people that ride more, but they'll tell you the same thing if they've ridden here much. Hats off to our transportation cabinet. We have good roads. We really do. And it's funny, Nathan, what are we begging for in Kentucky? Is there any gravel? That's all we seem to ever say.
Yeah, it's interesting. We did a little too good a job. I mean, for somebody like you, you're happy. We did a little too good a job of paving roads in Kentucky. I'll say that there are some wonderful gravel roads, but they tend to be kind of in pockets and in very rural areas. Certainly you can find them down in the Daniel Boone National Forest or down in land between the lakes. There's a ton of gravel. So it's not to say that we don't have gravel, but we definitely have a really great paved rural road system, which is also beneficial in its own way. So.
To me, we have just enough gravel. I like that I can make routes for 40 or 50 miles, maybe grab 10 or 15 of gravel, but not just be too with it, And the other thing too, if you're riding around Kentucky and are making a route and you want to avoid either gravel or private property or whatever, you want to avoid things that have the name in them: holler, creek, and ridge. If those are anywhere in the name, chances are you're fixing to run into something. It's not going to be, oh, look, a beautiful byway. No, Holler, Creek, or Ridge. So
solid advice from somebody who's ridden an awful lot of Kentucky's roadways. Well, Eddie, thanks again for being part of the Kentucky Cycling Connection series and helping us learn about how US Bike Route 23 came to be a reality in Kentucky. And if you enjoyed this content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to stay tuned for more Zoom interviews in the coming weeks.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.